Hello, and welcome to Fayfinders, a Dungeons & Dragons podcast navigating the listeners into the vague and supernatural. My name is Kai, and I will be your Dungeon Master for campaign Amnesia. And with me, I have the amazing Amancio.
Hello, everyone.
The joyous Jupiter.
Hi.
The kind Caitlin.
Hello there.
And the stupendous Sam.
Why, hello.
And with that said, let's see what we can remember. All right. So starting with a quick recap, you guys having grabbed Farron's fragment of light from the Revolver Keep deep in the woods of Jalen Forest, you guys made your way over to Veshtirg Island, heading for Nisha's fragment, hoping to find some kind of clue or some kind of direction as to where that is supposed to be. Having met up with her brother in the port after a very interesting travel across the sea, you were led back to Zaham Village, which was Nisha's childhood village that she had left after being banished, after being thought to be related in the death of her sister. There, she was given her trial by Hako, the god that gave her her fragment, and you guys were able to repair, or perhaps at least start to repair, those relationships between Nisha and her family. You were also, surprisingly, given access to a secret library that was kept hidden on the island, where you actually were able to find quite a bit of information, but surprisingly not quite the information you really were seeking. After a bit of back and forth and after saying your goodbyes, you guys teleported back to the Oseam Academy, which is where Solene was assumed to teach, or at least have taught. There, you met two male figures who came to find out what was going on and who had accessed their teleportation circle. And you were led to the study where one of the figures had walked away. And that is where we left you. So, you guys all sit around the table here. Of course, everything is very extravagant, beautifully carved. And you've got one of the male gentlemen that you had run into kind of sitting watching the lot of you. Celine and Nia specifically, but he kind of keeps an eye on all four of you. And doesn't say a word while he waits for the other to return. Is there anything you guys would like to do while you're waiting, or?
I'm just gonna stare him down just as intensely as he's staring at me and Nia.
Okay. He doesn't break eye contact with you. Well, he does, but he returns the intensive stare while he is making eye contact with you, I should say.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When y'all are on patrol, on guard duty, when you're marching, 2 by 2, what happens when someone needs to relieve themselves?
He kind of pauses for a moment and gives you a quizzical look. I don't know how to answer that.
Do you stop the whole march? Does the patrol stop and they take a minute? Because I imagine, you don't have 2 minutes. You don't have 2-minute shifts. It takes, probably a close to 2 hours to walk the whole perimeter of the castle. So when you're doing your rounds, what happens when nature calls?
I would assume they would have to hold it.
For how long? Because that can get really dangerous to a person's health and well-being.
Well, each shift is only 3 hours, so I can't imagine it's really that bad, and they should make arrangements before and after for that kind of thing.
What, like dehydrating themselves? You're telling me that the royal capital is being patrolled by dehydrated security personnel? That sounds like a security risk if I've ever heard of one.
What are you getting at?
All I'm saying is, we're not going to go anywhere. Now's your chance. If you need to take a little break, you can take a little break.
I'm quite fine, but thank you for your concern.
You see Solene just kind of glance over really quickly at Farron and just try to suppress a giggle and do a little smirk, and then go back to maintaining eye contact with whichever one this was. I don't remember if we got their names.
No, you did not.
No, we did not, because we distinctly didn't ask. Yes.
Yeah.
And then in Farron's mind, I'm gonna say, that was a very good tactic to try and get him to leave so we could discuss privately. Valiant effort.
You don't know prestidigitation, do you?
I could I have minor illusion. Major illusion, in fact.
Well, you see, you can always prestidigitate soiled pants. And you can also prestidigitate the feeling of emptying one's bladder. And in combination, I find that the two can be quite effective in making someone leave a room.
Indeed, a old soil yourself evacuation tactic. Let me try. And I'm going to try to see if I have prestidigitation. I don't know if I do, but I'm going to focus really hard to make it look like this man's front of his pants are very damp.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a d20.
Okay.
And just tell me what it is.
That's 16.
16. Okay.
Why have we done this? I had to support you though, Amancio. I couldn't leave you hanging like that.
Thank you.
Oh my
I wanted to open today's session, big and bold.
We gotta fuel the chaos.
Yeah. Okay. So you're sitting there concentrating, and all of a sudden the gentleman's eyes go wide, and he looks down, and he looks at all of you, and just, who did that?
What are you talking about?
Did what?
And he doesn't really explain himself further, but he kind of just casually gets up, and he's like, no one move. And hurries out of the room, leaving you guys to yourself.
Looks like it worked, Celine.
I
Well
suppose
done.
it did. I'll make a mental note of prestidigitation and the various different applications for it.
What on earth did you just do?
Well, you see, I was talking to him about using the bathroom, and I guess it got in his head, and he couldn't control himself.
Oh.
Yes, in fact, sometimes you must take the opportunity to relieve oneself in order to ensure that there is no soiling of one's pantaloons. But as it happens, we are now free to have a quiet moment to discuss amongst ourselves.
Precisely what do we plan on doing? Do we want to evade them? Do we want to wait this out? Any thoughts?
Well, I just feel as though we really can't trust these people. They've already pressed upon us and have been also encouraging the murder of Nia. My deepest apologies, Nia. And Celine kind of looks at Nia with very sympathetic eyes. I think we need to continue on in our journey and get the rest of the fragments. I don't think we should tell them anything about those. And I also don't think that we should inform anyone of our lost memories. I think we've been too trusting of late.
I was going to say we make a break for it now. I don't really want to be surrounded by a group of people that wants to kill Nia. I think that if we allow ourselves to get outnumbered in that situation, if they all go for Nia, what can we do to stop them? I mean, we're strong. I'll give us that. But us against 100, 200 soldiers, I'm not feeling it. I think we should take off while we still can.
I also believe that if we were in a situation that would be of great danger, I could always teleport us out of here, though it would take a little bit of time to do that.
And what if we need their help? What if the plan that we've come up with doesn't work? Would you really choose to save one person over the entire world?
If we can help it, we don't want that to be an issue. That's why we're trying it this way.
We don't have our memories. How do you know that I didn't choose this, that I didn't know?
Well, Nia, exactly. You don't have your memories, and neither do I. So, if you really want to just go along with the death of yourself to save the world when there is another option, I can't condone that. As of right now, would that be your choice, where there is another option?
We don't know if there is another option, and maybe the people here can help us, and you just want to run.
There is another option because we are enacting the other option. We are working on the fragments. After everything we've learned already? Nia, do you not even want to try?
I'm not saying that I don't want to try, but I think we should take advantage of the fact that the people here are going to have knowledge. If we can't make the plan that we're trying work and we don't have our memories, then how do we know what to do to make sure that the world doesn't end?
Well, we're getting our memories.
And one thing I can say for certain is that knowledge is not an objective thing. These people, what they will know is a plan that involves your sacrifice. And of course they're going to justify that however they can. Of course they're going to have their reasons that they see to be fair and true. And so we're not going to be able to get the full picture from them.
It's all a world of biases. If we can help by keeping you alive and not letting them just throw you as a lamb to the wolves, why would we not try? Isn't that what we've been doing all this time? Is trying to keep you alive? If there is another way, Nia, why wouldn't we try every other eventuality?
Because what if you all aren't who you think you are?
We can't live in what ifs. What we have to do is live right now. And know that right now, personally, my goal, and I would hope from the rest of our companions, is to keep you alive and save the world at the same time.
And on top of that, there's no guarantee that all of our memories will come back intact. Who we are right now, to a certain extent, is all that matters. How we feel, the actions we put in place. This is our truth right now. We can't second guess our gut instincts, hoping that at some point our memories come back entirely. We may never know the full story. We have to act in good faith now, as we feel.
Regardless, I don't think we should run. What if there are more fragments here? What if this is where we need to be?
But Nia, tell me in all honesty, are you of the preference to die rather than to try and do it with the fragments as we have been planning?
I never said that I wouldn't try.
Are you already ready to give up? Because to me right now it sounds like you are preparing for your death, and that is not how I want you to go into this. I will not let you die.
For my death. But if that's what has to be done, I'm not going to run from it. I'm not saying that we can't try the fragments. But I think that running at this point without at least trying to get some information from these people is a bad idea.
I also don't think it wise to trust them blindly when they're obviously pushing for your death. And they're going to make it sound like there's no other option, so that they have to push you to work towards this goal that isn't necessarily the best outcome.
I don't think they're going to be the ones that are trying to plunge a knife into my heart to sacrifice me to save the world. I don't think I'm in danger here.
The way you're speaking is very suspicious, Nia. Who do you believe is going to plunge a knife into your heart?
I don't think that anyone specific is. I just don't think that these two men, I believe... I'm sure there's some sort of ritual that has to go along with the sacrifice, and I don't think it can happen here.
It's at that moment that the other gentleman who had left comes back, and he kind of pauses for a moment and looks at all of you, and then looks to the empty seat where the other gentleman had been. What happened?
Y'all really have to figure out a better way to handle this whole bathroom break situation, because like your buddy just took off while you were gone, and like, so I don't know if that was like a scheduled thing and then you took too long because of the, you know, the unforeseen circumstances, but like you really think you'd have this figured out by now.
Make a deception check.
Can I support? Can I jump in and say, truly, I think that I am more required here than I once was if there's such shoddy break time scheduling.
Sorry, what check is this?
Deception. And sure, either you can roll separate or you can give Fair an advantage.
I'll give Fair an advantage.
Okay,
well,
that is a 21.
Okay, sounds good. So the gentleman kind of looks between all of you and then shakes his head and is like, never mind. Anyways, the king has been notified of your return. Do you wish to meet with him now?
I believe it would be more prudent for us to freshen up and find our lodging for the night, and then perhaps over dinner we may meet the king.
All right then, if you insist on keeping the king waiting, then I shall notify him of such. Are you planning on staying here in your barracks, or would you prefer lodgings within the castle?
In the barracks, if you would.
All right then. And again, he kind of looks at the empty couch and is like, I'll have a word with him later. Follow me.
I am going to attempt to link my arm with Nia so that we can walk together, if she allows it.
She kind of speeds in front of you so that she's right behind him as they walk.
Okay.
Nisha's going to follow in, or match her stride to how Soline is walking so that it still has that menacing type presence.
All right, perfect. And Farron?
Farron's going to tag along behind if possible.
Okay, sounds good. So you guys follow after this. This is the taller human gentleman that kind of had left and come back, the older looking one. He leads you through the gardens outside that you had initially come through when you had left the tower, and brings you sort of close to the tower, but slightly south of it, where there is like a large single-story kind of mess hall looking building. Not as fancy or as like refined as the other buildings that you had seen as you walked between the two buildings here initially, but it is still very well kept. It is still very pristine. There's a couple vines that grow along the outside that are purposely situated, but otherwise, like, there's not really a whole lot of dirt. It looks very well kept and very almost new. And he leads you inside, and in here there's a lot of people. A lot. And they're all kind of like scurrying around. A lot of them have like books that are kind of cradled in their arms. You can see that they're kind of going like from, it looks like they're getting ready to either go to class or they're coming from class or something of the sort, where they've got, their notes and books and things that they need for study material and that kind of situation. And there's all manners of different races. You see orcs, or half-orcs at least, elves, even tieflings. It doesn't look like there's much discrimination as far as who is allowed to be admitted into this academy. And so you guys are kind of led just to the right of the front doors and down the hall to the back, where a very large room is opened up for you guys. Quite extravagant. A lot of it is decorated in deep blues and golds. And he kind of looks at the four of you and is just like, you have 3 hours. And then I will come for you, or I will send someone. I wouldn't keep the king waiting much longer. And he looks to you, Nia. He's anxious to see you.
As I am him.
Keep that enthusiasm. And he walks away, back down the hall and towards the front doors, where he disappears.
I'm gonna go lock the door.
Okay. So all four of you are inside the room?
I would assume so, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you can see it almost looks like it's kind of like a two-part room. So you have like the initial kind of, meeting room or tea room, if you would have it that way, where it's got like a sitting area with a nice little coffee table, and it's got a couple books that are lined along the back shelf. Most of it is decorated with papers and what look to be like put together journals, maybe, or put together books. And then you can kind of see where it is sectioned off. And beyond that is what you would assume would be, your bed and your private quarters.
I am going to really quickly pop into Farron and Nisha's minds and just say, Nia is Nia's causing me some anxiety right now, and I feel like she shouldn't be alone, and I think we need to be watching her, if not explicitly, then secretively at all times, because this just feels, after having that conversation about preparing to be the sacrifice and trusting individuals who would push her towards her death rather than explore other options. I'm a little bit concerned.
Nisha then replies straight into your head, Celine. After that speech she just gave, I don't think that petite thing trusts us as far as she could throw me.
I agree. And after that slight where we used to walk together all the time and she allowed my protection, seems as though there's a change in the breeze.
Try and shake that off.
I don't know about controlling Nia's behavior. I mean, isn't that how we got to be taking her to be the sacrifice in the first place? I think maybe we let her take the lead on this one.
I don't mean control, I just mean observe to make sure that she stays safe.
But we have to let her make the choices she wants to make.
Celine just, ends the phone call. She's not ready to concede yet. Yeah. And then just walks over to her desk, and I would like to start reading, my old journals and papers just to, see if, I wrote, what, is there anything, interesting or anything that would, jog memories or any spells that I've been working on or, yeah, any cool tidbits?
Yeah, so so a lot of the books are handwritten by you, from what you gather. If they're not written by you, then they are very obviously written by somebody else within the academy. It's not like an official thing. There are a couple official books, but not too much. But most of them tend to go into what you were teaching, specifically when it came to astrology. And a lot of what you were teaching were along the lines of, the stars and divination and how that kind of thing tends to affect, magic and affect what people are able to tap into. You do have a couple of spells noted, specifically being something along the lines of changing shape, changing one's appearance, changing even form to something different, like a bird or a horse, in order to disguise.
Wild shape?
And nope.
Oh.
And then you also do have something that alludes to being able to temporarily transport somebody to a different plane of existence.
Yes. I think we learned that one when I poofed that one guy off the boat.
Yeah. Yes. It's kind of the extent of what you find, just kind of perusing through the immediate papers and books that are around the room.
Friends, I am an astrology teacher, as well as divination. Oh. This is quite exciting.
Yeah, I mean, look at you. Some big shot teacher.
Well, I did my best, I think. And also something about changing appearances and shapes. Perhaps changing into animals?
Like a werewolf, like astrology, like the moon and shape-shifting?
I don't think werewolf. It's more so horses or birds and other forms.
Right. So less cool than werewolves.
No, it's more diverse.
But less interesting.
I suppose it's perspective.
Nothing in there about how to build a flying ship that can take us out to the stars and away from all this?
Perhaps I might have written something about that in my other volumes.
Right, of course. The other volumes, naturally.
I'll look into it, but this is all very exciting. Perhaps we should all freshen up. Nia, do you want to take a bath or to take some time to yourself?
Sure.
I couldn't possibly know for certain, but I'm sure that there would be a washing area just past the bedroom.
And Nia will start walking towards the bedroom to see what she can find.
Nisha kind of sighs and slumps down in a nearby chair, stretching her feet out as far as they'll go.
Is there like a big couch in the sitting area?
Yeah, I think that there's it's a big sitting room, and then it goes into the bedroom.
Incredible. Well, Farron's probably just gonna lie down on the couch and lounge around for a bit.
I'm just gonna keep flipping through my papers and kind of as Nia walks through the door, I'm gonna say really quietly to you guys, I know that we have to let Nia make her own choices. And if ultimately she wants to be the sacrifice and save the world needlessly, then we have to let her do that. But I think that we should try to prepare for an eventuality that isn't the case. And I'm not certain that it is a good idea to share all of our private information, such as specifically the fact that we don't have our memories, and that could very much be taken advantage of in such a precarious position as in the capital with the king and his advisors.
I agree. I think our cards should be kept close to our chest for the time being.
And right now, frankly, I don't trust that Nia is going to keep that information secret.
Like Farron said, she'll make her decisions. If she chooses to show her hand, we'll have to pick up the pieces. I fear we may push her further away from us if we try to silence her if she chooses to speak.
I think that if she wants to disclose her own information, that is her prerogative, but she shouldn't be disclosing all of our information.
Fair play.
If we are each able to make our own choices, then we should each be able to disclose as much or as little as we choose.
Fair. I suppose we just let Nia decide how this plays out, and we roll with whatever comes after. We know our prerogative, which is to keep her safe, but we'll only do that insofar as she allows us.
It's hard to relinquish that protective nature. The only thing that I truly deeply remember is being her protector. That's what I've been holding on to the entire time that we've been traveling.
And that's fair. That instinct comes naturally to you. You don't have to fight it. But right now, unknowingly, this might play into our hands better than we imagine. If they don't know about the fragments, they may just show their hand about what they plan to do about Nia still being living. if they choose to put her in harm's way, we can always keep them distracted while you find a way to bamf us out. Until then, let's just keep our cards close to our chest and see what they choose to reveal.
I agree. And yes, if there is ever a position in which we need to run, we can always go back to the port.
You guys are discussing all of this. Are you just basically freshening up, kind of like, because you do have some clothes here. You also do have, like a bathroom accessible as well. So
yeah, I guess after we've been finished talking, like Nia would have been in like the bathroom for a while. I guess Celine will kind of go into her closet and just kind of like see what other outfits there are. She's going to be as extravagant as possible with all of the jewelry and all of the like tulle and petticoats and all the things to go and meet the king. She's going to be like done up.
okay. Yeah, easy. You've got a lot of very extravagant kind of floofy dresses. Some more practical things are also in there, but you get the sense, kind of looking through your closet, that you were never one for subtlety.
I am the drama. I live for the drama.
Exactly.
I'm gonna pop my head out as well and say, Nisha, I doubt that these will be the most comfortable things for you, but if we are going to meet the king, if you wanted to borrow one of my extravagant dresses, you're more than welcome.
Do I have to look like a piece of cake to go meet the king?
Probably best to look at least a little bit presentable for the king. We are seeing royalty. I think you look phenomenal as you are, but this is court and we're trying to put on airs.
I will do it, but please know, deep down, I don't enjoy this. Nisha pulls herself up out of the chair and walks towards Celine.
Greatly noted. We'll find something as subtle as possible while still maintaining a atmosphere of regality.
Just nothing that sparkles.
So while you guys are doing that, point of order, Nia, you had stepped into like the secluded chamber, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Like, what are you doing? Are you just kind of sitting there thinking, or are you actually like freshening up or getting into a bath? Or
she would probably just freshen up a little bit, but she's very nervous about seeing her father because she doesn't remember anything. So she would probably take a moment to like sit down and just kind of like focus and see if she could recall just like anything about her father.
Okay. So as you're sitting there, you suddenly feel a soft breeze, and you're not quite sure where it comes from initially, but it's so familiar that you let it wash over you. And a small voice kind of whispers around you. The light is your ally as much as the darkness. And then it subsides a little bit.
What does that mean? Then she kind of straightens her hair, straightens her clothes, makes sure she looks somewhat presentable, and walks back out into the common area.
Oh, Nia, if you wanted to borrow a dress, feel free.
I might have clothes at my room at the castle?
Yes, but if we only have this amount of time and you don't really know where you're going...
That's fair, I suppose.
Nisha steps around the corner. She's got me wearing this, and she very unenthusiastically holds out the edges of this like black silken gown that she's wearing, but she still has her sword strapped to her.
Mia just kind of covers her mouth to, like, suppress a laugh.
I think you look quite dapper.
Oh, and it's funny too, because like where Celine is very like, kind of lean and dainty, Nisha is, she's kind of built. She's got some muscle on her, so she's a little bit broader in stature. And while the dress fits, it looks a little awkward. Just with the broader shoulders and the bigger arms, and it doesn't look quite like it should.
I am truly afraid I may Hulk myself out of this contraption mid-dinner.
You only have to last a few hours.
Besides, that'd be a great intimidation tactic, so...
True.
As you guys are all standing around admiring Soline's dresses, Farron, are you doing anything in particular, or are you just kind of sitting there chilling?
They're just kind of sitting there chilling, giving people privacy while they change. I'm just pretty fancy most of the time. Right?
Yeah, it's true. You've got some pretty fancy clothing.
Can I see if I have any, like, suit jackets or anything? Like any kind of, like, shawls or, like, over like cover things? You know what I mean?
You do have a couple shawls. You do have like a couple like overcoats that are a little bit more feminized. You do have like a couple like a one pantsuit that potentially could work, but with Farron's, stature, it might not quite fit.
I'd take a skirt too.
Do you want a skirt?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, yes! Farron, pick out the most lovely skirt, and I would love for you to wear this beautiful purple sparkly shawl.
Oh, I'd be delighted, thank you.
I think it brings out your skin tone quite well.
Oh, you're too kind.
Oh, I'm excited we're all going to be so dapper. Can I be in, like, a royal forest green dress?
Yeah. If you want to have a royal forest green dress, you do have one. It is a little bit more simpler in comparison. Like it's not as flowy, kind of more form-fitted. It is still made of like that beautiful kind of like silk fabric that is embossed with gold trimming. But you get the sense that this one is more of like kind of a evening tea party dress rather than a ball gown or something along those lines.
I think that might be more appropriate. But it was nice to try on the big ball gown.
All right. Sounds good. So as you guys are all getting fitted with your new dads, you hear a knock on the door eventually.
I'll go get it. And Celine will kind of saunter, not hasten, over to the door and unlock it, and then open it just a skosh and say, yes.
And standing at the door there is a shorter half-elf. He's still a little tall, like about average size, 5'4", 5'5", from what you gather. But he does look pretty young in comparison to a lot of the other kind of students that you've seen around the grounds here, and especially in this barracks. And he kind of looks at you and he's like, "Oh, Miss Milliot?
Yes?
Great, I've got the right room. The king is waiting."
What is your name?
Valium?
Valium? Well, thank you very much, Valium, for the notification. Give us just one moment as I collect our party. We've just finished primming for dinner.
Oh, okay. I'll wait right here.
Perfect. And I close the door back over and go back to the party and kind of like, do we have any last minute plans? Any last minute things we all need to be on the same page about? Anything that we need to be prepared for and how we should respond?
My point of contention right now would be just to see how much they're willing to tell us without us completely showing our hand. And Nisha turns towards Nia. Nia, get whatever information you would like, as well as you can. But I fear for your safety and our safety if we announce here that we don't remember anything. Please make whatever decision you feel most comfortable with. But know that I feel leery about letting on too much till we know where they stand. And she turns back towards the door.
I would not want to do anything that would put any of us in danger.
I agree. I feel as though we should take this opportunity to leverage as much information as we can, because if we need to leave this area and these people and put ourselves under suspicion, we should at least get the information that we can before doing so.
Agreed. So we'll keep our own answers brief and hope for their answers to be long. All right, ready for dinner?
Okay, are you guys stepping back out?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so Valium is sitting there. He is kind of just, you can see he's trying his best to stand at attention, but boredom is kind of getting the better of him, and he's kind of like, playing with his fingers a little bit and shifting. And as soon as he hears the door open, he kind of like, are you guys ready?
Yes. You're doing great, by the way.
Thank you, miss. Right this way. Follow me. And he heads down the hall and starts making his way towards the door. So, what's the marching order? The typical one?
I don't remember what the typical one is.
It was usually Nisha up front, you and Nia in the middle, and then Farron bringing up the rear.
Yeah.
I feel like that would still come quite naturally. Nisha would just kind of move to the front, as uncomfortable in this silky nonsense as she is. She'd take her place at the front with her head held high.
Celine would try to stand beside Nia, but if Nia wasn't having it, she would stand just behind Nia.
Yeah, Nia would probably, be behind Nisha, but kind of be on her own level, being very, back straight, kind of, remembering, oh, yeah, that's right, I'm supposed to be a princess.
Okay. So you guys are led back through the gardens, past the tower that you guys had teleported into, and you guys do find yourself at a stone wall, and there is a large gate where a carriage awaits you. There are two beautiful chocolate brown Clydesdales that are attached to this carriage, and the driver kind of sitting there, kind of whispering sweet nothings to his horses as he waits. And the half-elf steps up and kind of pulls open the door and looks at all of you and is like, please, this will take you to the city.
Thank you so much.
Nisha, wanting to acknowledge that Nia is royalty here, would stop short of the carriage door and hold out her hand as if to help Nia up into the carriage, knowing that she's right behind her.
That's so sweet. Nia would give her a soft smile and take her hand and enter the carriage.
And Nisha would then follow into the carriage.
Okay. Celine and Farron, you guys are also stepping up in.
Absolutely.
All right, perfect. So there is, it's not, a super large carriage. It is very, very fancy. You can definitely tell that it was picked specifically to house the princess as they brought her down to the capital city. But you've got just about enough room in order for the two of you to sit comfortably opposite of each other. So two on one side, two on the other, without, the need of feeling cramped. But you guys are loaded into the carriage. The door is shut, and Valium kind of steps back and gives a small bow as he then turns to the driver and kind of gives a thumbs up where he flicks the reins, and the carriage is underway.
I'm going to, with very high intention, look out the window and like try to track our path, so that if we did need to like walk back to the tower, or make a hasty exit from the castle, I want to know like the streets as much as possible.
Okay. I would say like just make a general perception check.
Okay. What is my perception? Only +1. I don't know anything at all. I got a 3.
Ooh, yeah. Unfortunately, the conversations from earlier have you a little bit on edge, and you find yourself unable to really concentrate as you're still like kind of keeping Neo within your periphery to make sure that, you're catching any kind of subtle shift or whatever that case may be.
Feeling the very tangible awkwardness within the carriage, Nisha's going to like turn her upper torso just gently towards Nia. So, Nia, you're going to be meeting your father again. Excited? Nervous? Combination of the two?
I would say a combination. I don't know anything about him or our relationship, so I have no idea what to expect. Which I'm sure for you, and she turns to Farron, and for you is something that you would be very familiar with.
And to be fair, both in the case of Farron and myself, it was quite evident based on people's reactions what our relationship was like. So try not to overthink too much and just be yourself. I don't think you'll stray far from who you are right now, even if you were to have your memories intact.
Thank you, Nisha. And she kind of turns and like stares out the window just to see stuff passing by.
All right. So the carriage ride does carry on for roughly over an hour, about an hour and 15 minutes, or give or take. And eventually you guys do see ahead of you quite a number of farmlands. There's the scattered farmhouse, barn. There's a lot of like picketed areas where either livestock is being kept, or you can see the odd scarecrow that's been set up in fields where either you can see tall stalks of corn or some kind of other plant that is currently in bloom or currently dying from bloom. And there's actually quite a bustle to the area, despite how dispersed everything is. You do see quite a number of people, mostly humans or halflings, that are scattered throughout the fields, either picking at the crops there, or kind of tending to the livestock, whatever the case may be, or even just kind of keeping watch around the perimeter of their area. And as you start to make your way in, you see a large, very tall stone wall. Think basically the Wall of China, that surrounds the city that's just beyond these farmlands here. And as the carriage pulls up to the gate of this stone wall, you can see that there is a brief exchange between the driver themselves and the guards that are stationed. And they kind of look around from the front of the carriage, curious. And one of them comes to the door and opens it up. And he doesn't say anything, but he looks at the four of you and gives Nia a small bow, and then closes the door and steps back. And the carriage is permitted through as the gate rises and allows you guys to pass. And you watch as you make your way through the city streets. Most people kind of give the carriage a little bit of berth, either try to get out of its way as quickly as possible, or, they don't really care and they take their sweet time. But eventually you do make your way from what looks to be maybe like a kind of lower class district area into what is very clearly, a little bit more of a higher class area, and just up the hill, you can see where this tall, immaculate tower, made of white marble, shines in the sun and looms above the city. And eventually, you guys are stopped outside of the castle steps. Everything beautifully polished white marble. Either that, or there's a little bit of gold that has been kind of embossed into the structure to give it a couple accents here and there. And even what looks to be well-maintained, like a painted sky blue in some areas, just to give some definition to some of the carvings or some of the intricate statues that have been erected around. And Nia, at least the two immediate statues outside the steps here, you do recognize as the Lady Eos. One of the guards steps up, opens the door to the carriage, gives a bow, and waits for you to exit.
Following the procession on how they entered the carriage, Nisha will step out and then hold her hand out for Nia to step down.
And Nia will once again take her hand and step out of the carriage.
Celine will follow.
And Farron will bring up the rear, keeping an eye on the guards.
Okay, sounds good. So, as you guys all exit, there are 6 guards in total, mostly, from what you can tell, probably human, maybe a half-elf in there. It's kind of hard to tell as they do wear helms, and they do cover the ears, but just by the facial features alone, they look to be mostly humanoid as far as the ones that come around you guys. And one of the guards, he's got a bit of a, the French mustache with the ends of it kind of purposefully twisted. He comes up. Well, it's about time you'd returned. Shall we?
Lead the way.
Of course, princess. And he turns on his heel, very soldier-like, and kind of starts almost comically marching up the stairs into the castle. And as you guys walk, the rest of the guards kind of follow. Very, not super close, but they do kind of keep like a perimeter around you guys. Whether or not it's for protection or for something else, you're not 100% sure. But it's not like their presence is very daunting or like oppressive. It's more so they're just there out of protocol, if anything. And they lead you down this long hallway, beautifully decorated with golds and blues and whites. All the tapestries either hold the symbol of Eos, the same symbol that is on the back of Nia's neck, as well as either a representation of Eos or even just other gods or other god symbols that are more localized within the city here. And he brings you to these large golden doors and pushes them open. And as you step through the threshold here, you guys realize that you are in a large banquet hall. And there are quite a number of tables that have been kind of set up and arranged very, very purposefully along this area. But the one in the middle in particular has this beautiful gold runner down the center of it, and a very soft kind of sky powder blue placemats that have been all set along. And at the head of this table sits a more plumper, kind of older human. And he looks up, and those bright blue eyes meet yours, Nia. Nia! Nisha! Celine! Farron! Welcome! Welcome back! I am so excited to see you all. How was your journey? Please, come sit. We'll talk over dinner.
Thank you for such a warm, phenomenal welcome, Your Highness.
We were honored, truly.
Yes, our journey thus far has been trying, but quite productive. And we are about halfway through our alternative plans, and we are doing well. Everything should be fully set for the rebanishing before the equinox.
Oh, please. Don't soil the mood with that nonsense. Come sit. There's plenty of food. I've made all of your favorites.
How generous, thank you. You can clearly see that Celine was anticipating a far different reaction to our being here, and is a little bit faltering in her steps a little bit, having been so prepared for like an intense, like angry interrogation style, and wasn't anticipating a warm greeting.
So are you guys going to sit down around the table?
Yes.
Yeah. And as Nia is walking towards the table, she is just like intensely staring at her father.
Nashatania, my girl. What is this? Are you not happy to see your father?
Of course, I just thought I would never see you again.
Right. You cut your hair. Why?
spur of the moment thing. Bit of a change.
Change is wonderful, and to be honest, long hair is hard to maintain while traveling.
He gives a hearty chuckle. That you are right, Nisha. Well, I would love to hear about everything. I was not expecting you guys back so soon.
And we would also love to hear about everything. What all the goings on while we were away.
Oh, well, I mean, there's not really much to tell, at least not in comparison to the adventures you must have been on. I can't imagine what you went through in order to get all the way to the Black City, and then, well...
Oh, nonsense. Our courtly politics and goings-on can be just as riveting as any external adventure.
Make a deception check.
I'm not really trying to deceive him. I'm more so trying to persuade him to talk about himself.
From his point of view, deception check.
Okay, that's fair. +9 though.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Okay. Sounds good. He kind of cocks his brow a little bit at you and gives you a sly smile. All right. Well, I can't say that there's been too much going on. A whole lot of the Fallen have, well, caused problems, but nothing my guards can't handle, I suppose. And, well... yeah, that's really about it. Just kind of the normal ins and outs. Everybody coming to me asking, when things are going to settle down. But hey, you guys are here.
Your Majesty, with the Fallen, have the attacks increased since we've been away?
Hard to say. Really. Well, they did, and then they stopped. And then... kind of? The problem is there's a lot of people decide to blame a lot of stuff on the Fallen, even though perhaps it might be, a stray wolf or something. Once the Fallen start becoming active, I guess people just kind of like to get a little carried away, trying to find something in order to, well, to blame stuff on, right?
Indeed, there's always a need for a scapegoat in certain positions.
And he turns to Unia. Nashitania, my dear, you haven't said a word. What, is something wrong?
Just a lot going on. Feeling a little overwhelmed and yet excited to be back home.
I can understand that. Do you need a moment?
Perhaps would you like to take a walk before we eat?
Well, I mean, everything is hot now, but yes, if that is what my girl wants, that is what we shall do.
Are you sure that you want to go alone?
Yes, I'd like to catch up with my father.
All right, have a lovely walk.
We won't be long.
Okay. He instantly stands up and kind of extends his elbow for you to take.
And she takes it and smiles at him.
Splendid. All right, well, right this way. Let's go to the gardens. Those were always your favorite. He leads you from the banquet hall with but a glance back at your companions that are still seated around this large table, and brings you just to, like, he goes immediately left and then brings you down a bit of a hallway to a small arch that is stopped by a beautiful stained glass of Eos, and steps through, and immediately you are met by a million different colors and smells of all different types of flowers and plants and vegetation that have been arranged in very specific ways in this kind of large garden, where there's, bushes that are specifically carved to create archways and vines that kind of wreath them with all different colors. And he kind of walks you through. So, my dear, Nashatania, please, what is going on? You're not like yourself.
Father, can I trust you completely?
I'd like to think so. I've always been there for you, my dear.
Do I believe him?
If you want to make an insight check, go for it.
Please roll high.
That is going to be a 16.
Okay, and that's with your modifier?
That's with, yeah. Rolled a 9 plus 7.
Okay. All right. From what you gather, while he is guarded and weary because he's not 100% sure of what to make of all of this, like the fact that you guys are here and that you wanted to have a private conversation and everything away from your friends. He is being truthful in the fact that, he hopes that you would be able to trust him and that he wants to be trustworthy to you.
What do you know about what happens when we have to go seal away the Demon King?
Why are you asking? We went over this before you left.
Humor me?
You can see him hesitate, and a solemn look kind of falls over his face. I have to admit, I was not expecting to see you come back. I don't know what you told them, but you and I both knew that this may not have ended with you still here.
Do you know anything about fragments? Fragments of light and dark?
You mean the gods?
Yes. This might sound crazy. We got to the Black City, but she takes like a deep breath, like, because she's nervous to tell him, like, ugh. We woke up. I don't remember anything from before I woke up in that cave. I could not remember you. I couldn't remember what I was doing there. There was something about fragments and them not being able to unite.
That certainly makes a whole lot more sense. Why don't we go somewhere else? And he starts leading you through the garden to, not to the same door that you guys had exited from, but to another door more to the right. So you guys are kind of making your way almost back toward, or sorry, not back towards, away from the banquet hall. More towards where you can see another kind of portion of the palace has been, it kind of wraps around this garden area a little bit. And he leads you through more of just a very plain white door. And then through this small little, like you could almost call it like an office, but it doesn't quite feel right saying such. But regardless, he kind of leads you through there and into what is very clearly the throne room. You can see the golden thrones situated at the back upon the dais, where there's this beautiful gold runner down the center, where it's embossed with that sky blue that you've noted throughout the whole palace, as well as this kind of almost shimmering white, like kind of like that pearlescent white. And he steps up towards the thrones, leading you with him. And he clicks something behind the larger throne that's situated there. And for a moment, nothing happens, and you're kind of weary. And then a door opens, hidden behind the curtains that have been draped behind the thrones. And you can see, as he pulls aside the curtains, stairs that kind of wrap downwards. I think it might be best if we just start from the beginning and then.
I would agree.
All right. So, are you descending down then?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So, he follows behind you, and for it actually goes down for quite a bit. Like you are walking for at least a good maybe 5-10 minutes before you're like, okay, like how far does this actually go? And then just as you're kind of thinking of being like, okay, how much, like turning around to your father and asking how much longer, you see like a flickering light ahead, and you see a landing. And as you step down onto this landing, your eyes are quick to adjust to the light, as there wasn't really much as you guys descended, and you were mostly relying on your dark vision in order to make your way down. And you realize that you're standing amongst rows upon rows upon rows of books. At the front and center of all these rows is this white marbled pedestal, and it's empty. And he kind of looks at you, and he's like, have you ever opened that book of yours?
I have, but I couldn't read it. Like, there were words, but I couldn't really translate them, I suppose.
He kind of chuckles a little bit, and he's like, well, why don't you give it another go then? And he kind of points you towards the pedestal that's situated there, empty.
So I guess I'll pull out the tome and set it on the pedestal, and just open it to a random page.
You open it to a random page, and for a moment, it's blank. There's nothing there. And you're kind of looking at it, and you're like, okay, like, what's going on here? And you can hear rustling behind you as you're trying to, like, as you're flipping through pages, trying to find something, see what is going on. And your father comes over, the king, holding a torch. And without any hesitation, drops it onto the tome. And for a moment, you panic, and you pull the torch away, and you go to put out the flames, but you realize the book's not on fire. You see golden writing start to appear on the pages. And for half a moment, you can't read it. It's in a language you've never seen ever. You don't even recognize like where it could have derived from. And as you're looking at it, it starts to rearrange itself and starts to make sense. And it starts to talk of the sacrifice of Eos in order to seal away Baltog. And it starts to basically go into detail, like very, very clear and heavy detail about the war over the mortal plane, where Eos had breathed the first breath of life into a mortal, and Baltog seeing how impure and how flawed they were, wanted nothing to do with them. He thought them to be the downfall of this beautiful existence that they had worked so hard to create, him and all of the other gods, all of the fragments of light and even dark. It talks about how trying to forget and move on, Baltog created what is now known as the Shadowfell, and tried to basically exist there, leaving behind the material plane, and was unable to do so. And so he essentially spent his time in the Shadowfell creating an army to try and overtake the material plane, overtake the gods that had created, that had now flourished with these mortal beings that had kind of cropped up in all different types of races amongst the lands. And sought to overthrow everything, and how the gods pleaded with their creations in order to help maintain what was here. And even though they were able to overthrow a lot of the Shadowfell beings and banish them back into that realm, there wasn't much that could be done about Baltog and Eos. All of the fragments of light worried that Baltog was going to just keep trying over and over again. They all agreed that Eos would use her life force essentially in order to keep him sealed away, keep him from being able to continue to grow as a threat. But of course, she couldn't do it alone. And when the other fragments of light were unwilling to join her, she was forced to choose a saint, choose someone who mirrored her ideals and basically her life force, to join her and reinforce that seal. And as you're flipping through this, it talks about how you were chosen, how you were marked, how each of your companions were purposefully chosen and purposefully pushed towards you so that you could join Eos and join that barrier that she has on Baltog. Because regardless of whether or not you are the one that needs to help hold that seal, you would still need the help of the other fragments in order to get there, in order to grow into that role. And then it talks about how um, it's almost like it shifts into a conversation between you and Eos or someone. You're not 100% sure, but you gather it could potentially be Eos just by the way the conversation flows. But essentially, it looks like it occurred the night that you received the mark of the saint. And it talks about how it was your choice whether or not to tell your companions as to what was expected of you, whether or not you were just going to allow them to follow you and keep that information to yourself, or you are going to share that burden with them. It does mention that there could potentially be another way, but it would depend on whether or not your companions were willing to accept what had to happen in order to go that direction. And it almost seems, by the way that this conversation is going, that you were uncertain of exactly how that would have ended up. And that's kind of where it trails off.
Does it mention what the other way is?
It does not. No.
After Nia finishes reading everything that has appeared, closes the book gently and and turns to her father. So I chose not to tell them what had to happen?
I'm assuming so. The last we spoke before you guys left, you didn't want them knowing. It was just between us.
They are fighting very hard to try to keep me alive.
And they're good friends.
I suppose they are. But there are signs that perhaps I can't trust them. So I'm not sure what to do, and I can't say that I want to die, but clearly I was prepared to if I needed to.
Aye, you were. That's for sure. Can't say I was too happy about it myself, but you put up a good argument, that's for sure. But if your friends are going through everything in order to try and keep you alive, maybe don't waste that.
Perhaps this possible other way that's mentioned in the book, maybe that's the path that we are already on, and we just have to keep moving forward.
Well, if there's anything that you need of me, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to help where I can.
The book, I just have to put fire on it to reveal the words, in case I need to read it again.
Aye, yeah. Just a little bit of warmth brings forward the words. Not sure why that even works, but does. Found that out by accident, honestly.
I'm sure that is an amusing story.
It's not quite mine, but it's a fun one.
Should we head back?
I think so. Might be good to rejoin your friends. Eat something.
I'm sure they are probably panicking about now.
Probably. And he motions for you to head back up.
Hug my tome close to my chest and head up the stairs.
Okay. As that all is happening, the three of you, what's going on in the dining hall?
Well, if Nia really is prepared to die, she might be doing it already.
I've been sitting here tapping my foot in anxiety and watching that exit, and do you think we should go and run in and perform a rescue?
No. You saw how happy he was to see her.
No, but it could be a facade. We don't know.
Happy to see her because it means he can finish her off himself.
Exactly.
I don't think so. I think it has to be in the hall in which we awoke. I genuinely don't think he would risk killing her here, just a short while before the eclipse.
No, but what if he's had all this time to construct a chamber in which the ritual could be taking place without traveling that distance? Of course, there's going to be another ritual eventually in another 1,000 years, so perhaps he's done all the work to prepare so that future generations can just, we're gonna just pop down to this crazy torture chamber and, oh my goodness, I need to pace.
Solene, you're spiraling.
I'm aware. And Solene's gonna get up and just start, chewing on her nails and pacing.
Nisha is going to lean across the table and from one of the little bottles on the table, she's going to pour a glass of wine and then hold it out in Solene's general direction.
Solene's gonna take
Have
it and
a
chug
few
it.
sips. Or that.
Just full, gulp down and is probably another.
Nisha sticks her hand back out to grab the glass and retrieving the glass from Solene, she fills it again. Nia's got a good head on her shoulders.
Exactly, and we haven't heard any sounds of conflict or anything of the sort, so I can just assume that they're having a conversation, and who knows? We asked if Nia could try to get information for us, and for all we know, she could be doing just that.
You're right. Maybe I'll just pop in. Maybe I'll just pop in to Nia's mind and just check in. Maybe that will be helpful.
I would give her space, Solene. Don't push her away.
Oh, but I'm just worried.
And you can be worried. But she's only been gone 10 minutes. They've probably only reached the end of the hall in this blasted huge building.
Yes, but 10 minutes, so many things could happen. What if she's been stabbed? What if she's been dragged off to some who knows where chamber? What if she was teleported away into some cesspool?
Again, spiraling. Nisha hands another glass of wine. Just relax. Let's give her another 10 minutes. If we genuinely don't hear anything, then you can perhaps knock on her mind.
And then go in guns blazing. Oh, go in torches lit.
If the situation requires, yes.
All right. I like this plan. We're going to give exactly 9 minutes and 25 seconds, and if she is not back, I will pop into her mind, and if she is not answering, I will be going to find her.
All right. We got 10 minutes to wait then.
9 minutes and 15 seconds. Solene didn't mean to be a mother hen, but she's really turned into a mother hen.
All right. Well, as you wait, coming down to the wire with only 39 seconds left, Nia and the king.
Oh, and you see Solene pacing like crazy, like ready to bound for the door.
Nia and the king re-enter the banquet hall.
Finally, you're back. How did it go? Good conversation? No crazy torture chambers of any sort?
Nia kind of glances at her father and back and goes, no torture chambers.
Second that comes out of Solene's mouth, Nisha just puts her head in her hands, and it's a very audible sigh.
Solene, it is so good to see that you still have that anxious sense of humor. Please, sit. Let us eat. I think you've all waited too long for a good meal.
At least your wine is very good.
Oh, thank you. And he returns back to his seat at the head of the table after dropping Nia off at the seat to his right, giving her hand a small little pat before letting go.
And After Nia gets situated, she turns to her companions and says, I know you all have fears right now about revealing too much, but we can trust him. And, makes eye contact with each one of them as she says it.
Thanks, Nia.
I know that I can trust you, so if that is your word, I shall trust it.
I'm gonna knock on Nia's mind very tentatively, be like, knock, knock. Can I pop in?
And Nia says out loud, anything you can say in my head, you can say out loud right now, Celine. Now is not the time for secrets.
No, I just wanted to check, make sure that you weren't coerced in any way, that you're okay. Just want to make sure you're okay.
Yes, I am okay.
No coercion.
No coercion.
Okay. Very well, Your Highness. We shall all be acting in good faith, then. That anything said in this room will be kept close to the people who require this knowledge.
Sounds good. I'm okay with that.
Your Highness, what is your name?
Right. Nia did mention that you guys have no memories. Well, I am King Thalum.
'Tis a pleasure to meet you again, Your Highness.
Always a pleasure, Soline.
And, what are your advisors' names?
Oh, those boots. Don't worry about them. Seriously. Only reason they're still here is I can't fire them.
They were quite persistent.
They like to think they're all that. I guess that's what I get for giving them quite a position. But anyways, don't let them bother you. They're all bark, no bite. I'm sure you can handle them.
Noted.
Since you guys have no memories, I guess ask away. I don't know much, but I will answer what I do know. That I will promise. And he gives Nia a wink.
Well, we have been traversing and have heard tales of a Night Stalker. Is this, that is distinctly different from the Fallen? Does it come around a lot during Beltog's almost return should the ritual not be undergone? Or is this something that's persistent?
No. That I wouldn't worry too much about, to be honest. Mostly just, well, folks' tales. But if you do want to believe in that thing, it is rumored that it only keeps to the mountains and only at night, so it's possible it may go beyond the mountains if Beltog does decide to rear his ugly head again, but until that time comes, we won't even worry about that. Right?
Well, I suppose, however, the mountains are where we needed to be to perform such ritual, and I'm sure that it's not simply just a one-day venture, and in the eventuality that we must return to the mountain, it would be good to know more about such a creature.
I suppose. To be honest, I only know the rumors. That, if you want to know more about the Night Stalker, that might be a better question for the people of Newport Calam. They're the ones that have to deal with it, if that is a thing. I know the Fallen, if it's worse than the Fallen, which it does sound like that is actually the case. Well, that, wouldn't want to run into that thing, that's for sure.
And the Fallen, we haven't actually encountered any during our adventures, which seems strange, as they're supposed to be permeating the land.
Yeah, little strange. They only come out at night, though, so if you haven't been really caught outside city limits at night, I don't think you have really too much to worry about.
Sure, but those who are do.
Yeah, unfortunately. Mostly just livestock. And some citizens. We try to send out as much as our guards as we can, or even just mercenaries. We actually got quite a few bounties up for people who are willing to assist with that sort of problem right now. So we do what we can.
Do you know how the fallen spawn? How they are made? Where they come from?
You see him kind of think for a moment, and he opens his mouth as though to answer, and then retracts. Well, it was said that they're corrupted creatures, creatures of old, that followed Beltog during his reign before he was sealed away, and were corrupted. And you can see he's kind of struggling to remember like all of the details as he's telling this story. Something about his blood, maybe.
I see.
Sorry, I don't really remember it too much.
That's all right. The blood, though. Would it be in the mountain? In a ornate bowl? That perhaps if somebody drank would die instantaneously? Or moved would be swarmed by vicious enemies?
That's quite the imagination there, Soline. I would imagine so.
Ah. I see. I see. So... Oh, I see! And she's having, like, an epiphany. So... Oh... I'm on the verge of something right now that I think... I'm like on the precipice of discovery. Okay, so just like thoughts right now. The bowl in the mountain is like feeding into the fallen, and the dead ones that we found. So, okay, I'm not quite there, but something's brewing. Okay, somebody else take over. I have to process.
I must admit, Your Majesty, there's still a lot about this that we do not understand. As far as trying to keep Neo alive by the end of this, we feel that we are onto something. But have you heard any murmurings or tales of another way?
You can see his kind of more joyous attitude shift a little bit more solemn for a moment. Yeah. Actually, it was said that the one of the older kings, the one who ordered the purge of all books in Mierdon, King Adelaire, he had set his daughter along with her companions to find the fragments of light. And when there was no other way found other than, well, losing his daughter at the end of it, he basically didn't want any reminder. So he had everything burned. Kind of how we found about that tome of yours, Nashatanya. The books down in the castle are the only ones protected by that book. At least that I'm aware of. But it's an old tale passed down our line. Not sure how true that is, but makes a little bit of sense, I suppose.
Throughout our travels, we've been referred to time and time again as fragments, as in the fragments of light, and we have these markings on us, and Farron goes to show the brand that is on him. Do you have any idea what that could mean? Because there's a lot that's coming together for me, but that's still a question that none of us quite seem to have found an answer to.
Well, the marking is said to be placed on not only the saint, but the companions that are to escort her. It is a way of knowing who to look out for and who to trust, who has been marked by the gods, essentially. My understanding is that there are 4 fragments of light, and therefore 4 fragments that are to proceed. So, one being Eos, one being Saw, although it's strange that you have somebody else's. And one being Varuna, and one being Hako.
Sorry, you're saying I have the wrong brand?
You do? Well, maybe wrong is... It's not Saw's.
Is that going to cause a problem for us?
No, I don't think so. No other champion of Saw has stepped forward, so I can't see there being a problem.
Can you tell which deity it is associated with? This marking?
Not one I've ever seen.
Does that pose an ill omen?
Hard to say. At least it's a first for me.
Perhaps we should research this more.
I think it might give us some kind of answer at the very least.
Considering everything, I suppose it's only appropriate that I give you access to whatever's left. Mia, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
It's only a matter of question of when you would like to visit my small collection.
Perhaps in the morning, after a good night's rest.
Splendid. All right, well, in that case, let us feast.
Yes, let's.
And that's where we're going to end tonight.
Awesome.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Campaign Amnesia. And remember, new episodes air every 3rd Sunday of the month at noon. And be sure to check out our other adventures by searching Fayfinders wherever you tune into your podcasts. Until next time.